Well, I'm sharing this a little later than usual, but today I wanted to share some May reflections, June goals, and fill you guys in on some things that have been going on that explain kind of why I was MIA for a couple of weeks in the past month. Hey guys, welcome back to my Practically Imperfect Life. If you are joining for the first time, welcome to my channel. My name's Abby, I'm a homeschooling mom of two, and I do monthly goals videos. I share goals in 5 different categories in order to just kind of show you what sort of things I'm working on here at our home and in our homeschool, but also to try to encourage and motivate you to set your own goals and to work towards those as well. I'm gonna just dive right on in. I'll share the category, what my goal was in May, reflect on how it went, tell you what I'm tackling in June, and then we'll get to those life updates near the end. I will say June is an extremely busy month for us, not only from a professional standpoint. So I work as a nurse full-time, but I also run a from home baking business, and June is graduation and wedding season. It's just kind of crazy with all of those things going on. Plus, on top of that, I'm going to be gone on 2 separate weekends on camping trips. I have a big troop. I split them up by age groups. We take them camping over the course of the summer. So I'll have 4 separate camping trips over the course of the summer, but 2 of them fall in June. And then I run Vacation Bible School at my church. And that happens to be in June. It's just a busy month, all in all, and not a whole lot of downtime to be found. But that brings me to my very first goal category, which is faith and personal. Now, in May, I realized that I was going to be outside an awful lot, and so I wanted to try to do more podcast-style devotionals, things that I could listen to while I'm working and then reflect on later. And I was successful in that goal. I listened to over 20 hours of devotionals, and a lot of them were from like the Bible Project. I downloaded a couple of books and listened to those as well. And it was just really nice to have that kind of going in my ear while I was working outside. It gave me something to focus on, and it was just, I don't know, it was quiet, uninterrupted time. And I think that made it much easier for me to really get into what I was listening to. I'm not usually a big audiobook person, but for this purpose, it worked great. And I think I will continue trying to do that through the summer since there's so much that I'm working on outdoors. And my other personal goal for May was to get ready to celebrate my birthday, which sounds silly, but I turned 40 the beginning of June, and I wanted to celebrate. I haven't actually had like a birthday party in years. In fact, I've worked the last 4 birthdays that I had. So it was really nice. We bought a tent, and I'll show you some footage of the tent I picked up. I had priced out renting a tent because you never know with our weather. And it was like $300 to rent a tent, have it delivered and set up. And that was for one day. Well, I found this Easy Up tent on Amazon, and it goes up just like a larger Easy Up, like the 10 by 10 ones people use at cookouts and tailgates. This one was about 10 by 20, and then it had removable sides. And on 3 sides of the tent, you had windows in it. And then the front side, it had 2 panels that would zip, so you could kind of pull those back and create doors. My son and I put it up. It only took us, half an hour to put it up. Really easy to put up. It stores down, in a bag, so we have it stored back. And I figured that by purchasing that, I'd have it not only for my party this year, but my daughter graduates next year, so we're going to have a graduation party. And then the year after that, my son graduates. So if nothing else, we're going to get 3 separate uses out of it. And then if I want to keep it, I'll keep it. If I don't, I can sell it. It was a little over $200, so I thought it seemed like a reasonable investment. And then the party itself was a lot of fun. We did more like an open house style bit. I had like 4 hours on the invitation, said, come on in, stop in, grab a dessert, grab some food, hang out, chat. And that's exactly what we did. We did end up getting rain, but the tent kept everybody who was out there completely dry. Then we have like the pergola on the porch, and then we had seating inside. I normally am one of those people who makes way too much food for events, but we actually ran out of everything by the end of the night, which was really surprising, but also nice because I didn't have to worry about leftovers. And I had made like a whole big selection of like cupcakes and things like that, but my daughter chose to make me a cake. It's like the sponge cake recipe where you can actually draw out designs before you bake it. And I'll show you a picture here because she did such a good job, and I thought it was really sweet that she wanted to make that for me, and it was delicious on top of that. it was just really nice. It was great to have people from my church and from my troop and from my family and like just a lot of people that I know come by. And I felt really blessed to have all of them take the time out of their Saturday to just stop in and hang out for a couple of hours. And it was neat also to kind of see the different groups coming together and talking and getting to know each other and finding out a bit more about like those different aspects of my life. Because usually, people at church see me at church and with church activities, and the people from my troop see me at troop activities, and then like my friends outside of that see me just like in a general social setting. So it's kind of neat for them to see like these different aspects of my life that I talk about with them, but to, meet the different people involved. So it was really wonderful, and I was so happy to be able to do that. Now in June, I'm going to have just one faith and personal goal, and that is related to Vacation Bible School. This is my 15th year being the director of Vacation Bible School for my church. It's our 14th year putting one on because we had to take that year off for, the thing. And I love Vacation Bible School. I love children's ministry in general. It's just fun to put together the lessons and the decorations and make it just this immersive, fun experience for the kids, but also have them really learn about God's word through multiple different ways. We have kids who enjoy listening, kids who enjoy acting things out, kids who want to do things with their hands. And in every aspect of our program, we are reiterating key messages. And I've so enjoyed it. It is a lot of work. It doesn't matter if you go to a small church or a mega church, putting on Vacation Bible School is a ton of work. There's a lot of prep that goes into it, volunteer training. And then if you're actually leading something during the week, which I do, I lead the opening, like where we get everyone together, and then I lead our storytelling. So there's that to get ready for as well. So I strictly want to focus on that and having a successful Bible school program this year as my June goal. In the home and garden category, I wanted to have all of my annuals in, all my seedlings transplanted, all my mulching done, basically buttoning up the outdoor projects before my party. And I was successful in that goal as well. Mulching was a chore. I had that mulch delivered and it's like this huge pile. And you think, okay, this won't be too bad. And then you realize just how much there is. And there's a lot of areas to mulch in our yard. I'm working on trying to fill up more beds and add in more ground cover. So hopefully next year I won't have to purchase and lay so much mulch, but there was a lot to get taken care of this year. So I got that done. I got all my annuals in. I actually went a lot lighter on annuals in the ground this year than normal, at least around the house. I put in things like Super Tunias and Super Bells, Super Tuna Mini Vistas, things that I knew will grow pretty extensively. So it takes a lot fewer plants to do that. And then I had some annuals that I had started from seed, and I placed them in a couple places as well. Did my flower pots, and I love, love, love my flower pots. I recently filmed a little bit of a garden update that will be coming out, and I talk largely about our vegetable garden because I'm just focusing on food production, but I will also show you guys some of the other things that I've got going on. The cut flower garden, oh, it's going to be amazing. I'm confident it's going to be amazing because the seedlings did so much better this year. I had so many more come up, grow to a good height, transplant well, and we're starting to get that point of summer where we're starting to actually get some hot days because it was a pretty, it wasn't cold, but it was a lot cooler in May than what it normally is by the end of the month. And so we'll see things start to really bulk up and put on some growth. But I'm just so glad to have the bulk of the projects done. I'm still shopping for plants here and there and putting things in. I'll do that all throughout the summer. And there's, of course, bigger projects outside that we're going to be working on, but there were things that could be done at any time. So the things that I needed to get done by the beginning of June are done. Now for my June goal, because I know I'm going to be gone a couple of weekends, I started my new job. I've been working at that, getting it adjusted to that schedule, and then the Bible school and all of those things. I did not want to have any crazy big home projects. So one thing I am going to do though is I want to start researching some prices and getting some estimates on a remodel that we need to do. My kids' bathroom, which is also the bathroom that our guests use is very dated. The flooring needs replaced. The vanity just doesn't quite work. It's got like a weird dip in it, which makes it hard to set things on top. The shower needs replaced. We have to do a corner shower in there, and we have hard water, and it just, you get to a point, if you live on a well and you have hard water, it does not matter how much you scrub that thing. At a certain point, you just cannot get that orange tone out of stuff. And this shower is probably close to 20 years old, and it just needs redone. Bathroom remodels, though, are quite pricey, and there are things that we can do ourselves. Like, we know how to change out the toilet and the vanity and the flooring, and I can paint and all of that stuff. I do not want to learn how to change out a shower. I just don't even want to go there. Could I? Probably. Do I completely trust that I'd be able to make it 100% waterproof and not have to worry about like leaking into my basement? No. So I'm going to definitely farm that out to someone, but it's a lot cheaper if you purchase the things and then have somebody come and do the install. And so that is what I want to do, is figure out kind of a budget for things, shop around and kind of figure out what I would like to have for the different aspects of that remodel, and then just start picking them up piece by piece. And then when everything is ready and an installer is ready, plan a week in the future where we're going to demolish that bathroom and then get everything put in, because we can't have that bathroom not be functional for more than a couple of days. We really have to, be Johnny on the spot as far as getting it done once we start it. So just kind of doing some research, here and there on that. I didn't want to completely ignore my list of cleaning things I needed to do for the month. I've been trying to do deep cleans of different things. So I looked at my list of what I want to do deep cleans on, and I thought, well, what are the things that would be quick projects, ones I could start and get that done in an hour, which I think is reasonable even with how busy the month is. So I decided I was going to focus in on closets in June. So we have a front closet that's kind of like our coat closet, to just clean it out, get rid of things that don't fit, make a list of things we're going to need to replace. Our cleaning closet really needs some attention. It's where we keep just all of our cleaning supplies. We have extra light bulbs in there. Our vacuums are stored in there, just all the things. And it's a little, so got to tackle that one. And then my closet as well. My closet's not too bad, but you need to kind of go through, I think, at least once a year and pull out things that you no longer wear or that no longer fit, and just make some space, right? And then that way you can get new things. I don't buy clothes all that often. That's why you guys see me wear the same thing over and over and over again, because I'd rather buy plants than new clothes. But I do need to get that cleaned out, and that will be the home and garden goal. For my homeschooling category, my goals in May were to get my kids' transcripts up to date with this current school year's grades, and then to update our NCAA recruitment packet paperwork. My kids actually finished most of their subjects in May. There were a few subjects that kind of carried over into June. We just had a lot more breaks this year than normal. And so the ones that are done are on the transcript. I have transferred everything that I've been doing for them onto my Excel workbook that I put together. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I wanted to create an Excel workbook where I could plug in course titles, grades, and GPA points, and then have it kind of auto-calculate everything and plug it into a formal looking transcript. And I created this workbook with where you can put all that information in, and then there were 4 different variations of the workbook it would automatically create. So 2 of them include middle school courses. So my kids took courses in middle school. We counted as high school credit. And then there are 2 versions that don't have that on there. And then there's just variations in how you do the grades. If you do an A+, AA- grading scale, or just a straight ABC grading scale. It's a free workbook. It's available on my Buy Me a Coffee page if you'd like to download it and check it out. I think it's pretty user-friendly. I answered questions that people have had about it. There are some ways to customize it. If you're wondering how to do that, just know that there's an awful lot of formulas that had to go into creating that to make everything transfer over correctly. So it was a lot of Excel technical stuff. So if there's something specific you're trying to do and you're having trouble, let me know. And I'll try to walk you through how to make those adjustments on there. Anywho's, I got that transcript stuff up to date. Now, the NCAA stuff that I'm talking about, if your homeschooler wants to play collegiate level sports, like an NCAA sport, there is a packet that has to be filled out, and you have to register them with NCAA, and that packet has to go in for them to be considered eligible to play sports. There's just a lot more work for homeschoolers to be eligible than if they played for like a sport for like a public school. And because of that, because of how big the packet is and the fact that there are forms I have to fill out for every single core course, I'm trying to keep up with doing it each year. And so I wanted to have that updated for my oldest because we are now fully in recruitment season. She is getting emails from coaches. She just did an interview. She's got coaches coming to watch her at her events. It's kind of like, it's crazy how quickly that all just ramped up this season. And it's exciting for her, and I'm just really, I'm just so proud of her and all the hard work she's been doing. She has been just training like crazy, practicing every spare minute she can, and doing wonderful at her tournaments. And this is like all of that hard work coming to fruition. Like this is going to happen. She's got to end up playing somewhere, and that's just a testament to how hard she's been working. So I had to get that packet up to date, and I'll share about it in the future. I had a couple people request like an update to the video I had posted about these requirements. I think I posted that over a year ago, just showing what our packet actually looks like. Obviously, I'm not going to show you like her grades or personal details, but at least what does it look like to actually have these course sheets filled out with some examples for like a more traditional curriculum and an example for like a less traditional curriculum, how we're presenting it on those. So I got that done. That was a bit of a beast to do in May. For June, our homeschool room needs a clean out. I don't know how it happens. Like it starts so nice and neat with everything in its spot. And then by the end of the year, it's kind of nuts. I have stacks of new curriculum and things that I'm photocopying. I have the stacks of the old stuff that I'm finishing up grades on. Their desks, I don't know what happens. My son especially, just the things. I'm like, why is this here? I don't know why this is here. So we just need to pull things out, deep clean it, get it all ready so I can start putting the new stuff in there now that they're wrapped up for the year, and just, do that. I also need to clean off the bookshelves because we do a lot of literature-based curriculum, and obviously there's a lot of books that I purchased for that, and I've got a couple that we are finishing up that I need to cycle those books out or put them up for sale, and then I've got new books coming in for the current courses they're doing. So cleaning up that, I'll feel a lot better if it's clean. It's probably going to be a multi-day project. I'll probably take you along and show you the setup. I'm not planning like a huge room revamp like I did last year. Last year I did a whole bunch of furniture shifting and reorganizing things, and I really do like the general setup that we have. We just need to clean it up a bit. So doing that's the big thing. And then I will start doing some lesson planning in June. And you might go, well, you just finished. Aren't you going to take a breather? I could, but if I took a breather in June and did nothing related to lesson planning, then I would be kind of dumping all of it on my plate in July in order to be ready to start back up in August. And I would rather do a little bit at a time and be able to say, okay, well, I'm going to work on it for an hour today and then, a half hour tomorrow or whatever, rather than feeling panicked in July that I have to do all of it. And that's just my personal preference. And by lesson planning, that means I'm looking through the course material. What are they suggesting as far as lesson plans, and putting that into a lesson planner template that I have for the whole year, kind of getting an idea of how many lessons a course has so I can figure out how I want to space it and assign it out, where we have some wiggle room if we need to do some lighter weeks and things like that. Plus, we're also going to be moving around a college schedule since my daughter's going to do some dual enrollment, so we have that to deal with as well. So, given all of that, I want to start doing at least a little bit of lesson planning, probably going to tackle at least one easier course, one that's a little more straightforward in how it's laid out, like my son's physics course, and then at least one or two of our literature-based curriculums, probably his U.S. history and maybe my daughter's anatomy class, where there's just a lot more pieces involved, and I want to, start really looking at how those are going to be laid out. And that will be our homeschool goals for the month of June. For my family relationship category, in May, I wanted to be able to support my kids at their golf tournaments. Well, Ethan actually didn't have one in May. His first tournaments didn't kick off until June. But my daughter had some in May. And then both of my kids attended a homeschool prom that is hosted by a group in our area. They actually rent out a huge theater. It's like this historic theater. It's got a beautiful stage area, but it also has several ballrooms and then a whole rooftop. And they rent out that whole upper area so the kids can have the ballroom and the rooftop experience. And it's beautiful and it's safe and it's fun. They went with, they met up with a bunch of friends while they were there. They took a ton of pictures. They had one of those photo booth areas, where you can do the strip of photos. And they had a bunch of goofy photos with their friends. It was just a wonderful time. I just wanted to be able to help them get ready and enjoy that experience. I've helped my son by a corsage for his date. We got him, a suit to wear. We got my daughter's dress. Everybody they looked amazing. It was so much fun, just seeing how excited they were for it. And I'm so pleased that they had that opportunity to be able to do that. It's my daughter's second year going, my son's first year. They loved it. It was great. Golf tournament wise, we've been really blessed with some nice weather during the tournaments, and it's wonderful to be able to, support them through that. June is going to be a heavy month on golf tournaments, and with the way my new work schedule is, I'm going to try to attend as many of them as I can to be able to watch and support them further in that month. For June, we're getting one child ready to go away for a couple of weeks of camp. So there's a whole bunch of things to just get set up for him for that, supplies and whatnot. So we're going to do that, focus on getting him all ready for that. And then since I'm going to have a couple of weeks where it'll just be my daughter around, I want to try to just find some time to dedicate to spending with her. We have a friend who owns a lake house not far from us, about 45 minutes away, and she's issued kind of an open invitation if we wanted to go up and spend the day. And I'd like to try to do that. As busy as this month is, I've got to carve out some downtime for sure. And going up to the lake is a great way to do that. One, the Wi-Fi is extremely spotty, so you can't work on things. You can't really be on your phone. You have to focus in on the people you're there with and relaxing. And that's actually perfect because it forces you to disconnect from technology. We play cards, we grill out, we lay out in the sun, we swim. It's just always a really nice time. And I'd love to go up and just have at least 1 or 2 relaxing days with my daughter. So simple goal, right, for June. And then in the health category, last month I had talked about bumping up my water goal again. If you're new, I'm just not a big water drinker. I have to kind of force myself into it. I had bumped myself up to a goal of about 44 ounces a day, which doesn't sound like much unless, you're like me and you're just not a big water drinker. Man, I crushed that goal in May because I kept a water bottle or a container out with me every time I was outside working in May, and I was just downing water like there was no tomorrow. So did a great job on that. And the other thing I was doing was focusing in a lot on back stretching and back strengthening exercises. I've done a lot of planting, moving a lot of soil last couple months, moving a lot of gravel and mulch. I mean, that's heavy duty work. And it's repetitive work, scoop, shovel, because it gets dumped in big piles on our driveway and we have to scoop it onto a trailer, haul it out with our tractor to where it's going, and then scoop it back off. So you think about that repetitive motion on your back over and over and over again. Obviously, I was getting a lot of soreness in my back, and I'm trying to not use my shoulders so much. You want to use, your whole body mechanics in order to properly do this to avoid injury. And I realized that if I could just strengthen up those core back muscles, I would have a lot easier time and be at a lower risk for injury. Not to mention, as you get older, it helps with your posture. So I had kind of added in some focused exercises on my back and doing some additional stretching on the days that I'm working out. And I really thought the stretching helped immensely. I think it's too soon. 4 weeks is not really enough time to see a whole bunch of muscle development. If you're working a muscle group like 1 day a week, you're not going to see dramatic results in a month. I need to be consistent with that. And I have added that into my rotation. So I'm going to continue doing that and hopefully continue to strengthen those back muscles. But the stretching, man, I had really missed doing focused stretching. I used to do like cheerleading and things like that when I was younger, and so was very flexible and was constantly stretching out. And I just hadn't in a long time. And it feels so great to do that. So I'm happy that I'm doing that again. I'm definitely going to continue doing that going forward. So obviously going to continue to bump up that water goal with the campouts and everything coming up. I have no doubt that I will meet it. I'm gonna try to hit that 50 mark now, and I think I'll be able to stay consistent. I'm still doing a bunch of stuff outdoors. I only take water out with me when I'm working outdoors, and then at camp I try to be a good example to everybody and drink plenty of water while we're hiking and things like that. The other thing I want to do is work on some skin health, and this will kind of carry us into sort of why I had some like periods where I was off. I took a whole week off in May, where I was completely offline. And I have a feeling that might occur again in the future, just as things are happening. So let me talk the goal, and then I'll explain more with the health stuff. So I have always had eczema. You're genetically predisposed to it. So, the really dry patches of skin on like arms and legs and things like that. And I've always had to treat that. I've used a couple like CeraVe creams that have helped with that, particularly in the winter months when your skin gets really dry. However, the last couple of years, I have started to get flare-ups of rashing, particularly focused on like my hands and my upper arms. And then occasionally I'll get like these patches and it'll follow like along my abdomen. And at first we thought maybe it was a contact dermatitis. We have poison ivy on our property. I'm highly allergic to poison ivy. And we thought, well, maybe I had been pulling some of it and it touched me and that was what it was. And then it was happening over and over again. So the first year that I noticed it, I think I had 2 flare-ups. And then I had another 2 or 3 the following year. And each time we had to treat it with prednisone. Like that's what it came to. Like I either had to get a steroid injection plus a step down dosing, like multiple days of prednisone, or just straight prednisone. And that did clear it up each time. Like it cleared it up completely. But what happens is, particularly on my hands, I will get these rashes on the tops of my fingers and in between. And they will get raised. They will have like little fluid filled bits. And then I will get it in the same spots on both hands and like on the inside of my wrist, and sometimes I'll find spots on my neck, and then the same spots on my abdomen. I mean, it's crazy. It's always in the exact same areas. It comes up really quickly. It's incredibly painful. Like they're painful rashes. They itch intensely, and then it hurts. And I am, when I'm working as a nurse, I'm foaming in, foaming out, of rooms. I mean, I probably put hand sanitizer on my hands at least, 50 times a shift, at least. And so that's very drying to your hands. Well, I had a flare-up in May, and it was a bad one. It flared up super quickly. My hands were so swollen. The rashes were really, really bad. I mean, my arm was really, really bad. It was on both arms. I was miserable. I went to my doctor. I was able to get a prednisone dose, and it started to clear up after a couple of days. All well and good, right? Except 2 weeks later, it's flaring up again. And I had never had it do a bounce back that quickly. So I'm talking to them, and we're trying to figure out what exactly is going on here. Is this just a different form of eczema? what could be triggering it. I mean, are we getting triggered by the fact that I'm outdoors more? Is it the weather changes? Is it food that I'm eating? Like we're trying to figure out exactly why it's doing that, because it's an autoimmune response. When your body does that, that's your immune system going and causing these things. So we're trying to figure out exactly why it's doing that. What might be the triggers? I don't use scented anything. I don't use scented lotions or scented shampoos or creams or whatnot, because I know how sensitive my skin is. And the other thing is that I don't want to be taking prednisone over and over and over again. It's not good to do that. It's not great for your immune system to constantly be knocking it back with prednisone. I don't feel good when I take prednisone. It makes me grouchy. It makes everything puffy. I mean, they're not as bad today, but you should have seen them last week. Like my hands were swollen to like twice the size they normally are. I mean, they were huge. My fingers were huge. And everything just hurts. So I was like, we've got to figure this out. So now they have me trying a targeted steroid cream. It's a much stronger strength steroid cream than what they had me try in the past, because previous ones had done nothing. Benadryl does nothing. Hydrocortisone creams, nothing. So this is a much stronger steroid cream. We're trying that, and it does seem to be helping. It's made everything very dry. My skin feels very dry. And because it is a steroid, I'm still getting swelling wherever I put it. So it's not an ideal situation. So I had that going on not once, but twice in May. And it happened, all this was kind of going on during that week I took off. But the other thing that was going on is I had had my recent blood work done, and that was normal. So that was all good. But okay, let's do a quick pause here. I'm going to discuss some women's health issues. So if you have kids in the room and you don't want them to hear this part, go ahead, pause the video, have them leave. Or if you're not interested in hearing about this, you can skip to the end of the video. Anyways, I went in and I had my annual exam done and an annual PEP, which at certain ages you should do that every year, especially if you're at higher risk for certain things. So we have a history of breast cancer in our family, so obviously we're always getting checked for that. But I have had a history of having abnormal cells in my pap smears. The last time was over a decade ago. There were some abnormal ones, and so we had to do a biopsy at that time to make sure that, it was nothing cancerous going on. So I had an annual, and there were abnormal cells this time. And so they said, well, let's get you on the calendar. Let's go ahead and we'll do the biopsy, and we'll check it again. Now, as a nurse, I'm constantly, you hear this is abnormal, that is abnormal. People see on their labs that a value is abnormal, and we kind of go in and we're like, okay, well, it's not that abnormal. I mean, given what you have going on, that's expected, all that stuff. And I always tell people, I'm like, look, if a doctor wants to do a further test or find out more information, don't stress yourself out with all of the what ifs. What if it's this, what if it's that? Because until you have more information, until those test results are back in, until those lab results are back in, we don't know. We don't know enough to say it is this, it is that. We need to have adequate information to make a diagnosis. And if you just, if you do the WebMD thing, you're coughing, which means you could have a cold or you could, have a tumor. That's how WebMD seems to work. I'm always like, just calm down, wait for all that information to be in there, and then process whatever the results say or whatever, the diagnosis is. And in fact, I did just recently had a conversation like this with a family member, same deal, like, hey, the doctor wants me to do this, and there's that worry, and I'm like, you know what? There's no point in stressing yourself out over it until we get to the next step. Well, apparently I'm really good at giving that advice. I am horrible at following it myself because I was psyching myself out a lot. The last time I'd had this done, it was kind of a traumatic experience because I was really panicking at that point. And I was like, okay, well, it'll be fine. We'll find out, more after this is done. And so I didn't even bother to tell, a bunch of people. I wasn't going, calling up my mom and going, hey mom, I'm gonna have this done. And I was not calling up my best friend. I figured, well, I'm gonna go get it done. And then when the results come back, then that'll be what it'll be. But I psyched myself out so bad this time. And I think it's just, I'm older. My kids, have all of these things going on. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what if it's this? What if I can't work? What if I, can't bring in the income to support the household or make sure that the kids have what they need? Or what if I'm too sick to homeschool? Or what if? And I put myself in a very negative mind space. And the stress was just, it was really getting to me, to the point where I had to cut something. I had to take something off of my plate. And I couldn't exactly not work. I had to go, and I just started my new job. I had to do that. So I'm dealing with orientation and learning a new unit and getting used to all of that. I had other commitments as far as like all of the things with the baking business. I was trying to help the kids wrap up school. We had all of the stuff we were doing outside. And I hate to say it, you too, but you were the thing that I had to take a break from. So I said, you know what? We're just going to disconnect for a week. I'll just post up that, hey, I'm taking a week off. I'm not going to reply to comments. I won't be replying to emails. I won't be posting anything. And just give my brain a break. And that fell about the time when I went in and had that biopsy done. If you've never had a cervical biopsy, I hope you never have to. They are painful. They are painful. I mean, it's just, it was just as bad as the first time I'd had it done. Now, all that being said, nothing negative came out of it. My test results were fine. There were abnormal cells, but nothing was cancerous, so that is good. I will continue to do checks annually, simply because our family does have cancer histories, so we will just continue to monitor. And I'm also going to have a discussion with my GYN, because a few years ago I got put on an IUD to help handle some bleeding issues, and while that helped with that, it does expose you to low doses of hormones pretty continuously, and I want to make sure that is not triggering the abnormal cells. I want to do a little bit of research and a little bit of discussion with them to kind of weigh the pros and cons. Like, if this is causing an increase in abnormal cells, does that mean that we should consider, removing that and just dealing with the bleeding issue and whatnot? So, see, this is why I said, don't have your kids listen if you don't want to hear about women's issues. And this very well might be TMI. However, I don't think women's health gets talked enough about anywhere, especially on YouTube. There are very few who seem to be willing to truly discuss these health issues and these health concerns, especially the ones that can impact us as we get older. And they're real fears that we all have. There are real issues we can all face. I mean, I've had close friends who've dealt with breast cancer, especially. My grandmother was successfully treated for it, but there's a lot of different things that can impact us as we get older, and we need to be willing to talk about them, I think, and share our experiences and just support each other through that. So that's why I wanted to share that with you, to let you know kind of why I had taken some different weeks off. It was tied into when those tests were and when the test results were coming back. I was just dealing with a lot mentally. I had to take care of myself in that regard. And so I appreciate you guys who were really supportive and sending messages. I didn't post at the time what was going on, but I really appreciate you guys saying like, hey, we hope everything is okay. So we were just simply dealing with those things, with those family matters. I think that's how I had termed it. I said we've got some family matters going on, because I really didn't want to say I've got some major health concerns, because that, I think, sends everybody into a real flying panic. But that's what was going on. Everything is okay, but continue to monitor, continue to research, and have some follow-up conversations with my doctors, and then hopefully keep things going strong in the future. And with that, I'm wrapping up all of my goals for the month of June. Let me know down in the comments what kind of things you are working on this month. Do you have anything fun or exciting or a big project that you're going to be doing? Are you vacationing this month? Are you taking a break from homeschooling, or do you homeschool year round? I'd love to find out more about what you have going on as well. Thanks so much for joining me for today's video, everybody, and I will see you in the next one.